It was 2014 when I moved back to my hometown to help my uncle manage his quaint bookstore. It was a place framed by coconut groves and shimmering heat waves on its dusty roads. But it was the abandoned mining district at its edges that held the town's darkest stories. Local spoken murmurs of a dark spirit that haunted the ruins, a phantom shrouded in malice. I dismissed the tales as the remnants of old fears, refusing to be ensnared by superstition. Curiosity, however, got the better of me. The mines weren't far, and the idea of visiting that infamous spot tantalized me. I envisioned returning triumphant, basking in the admiration of those who lacked the courage to face its supposed horrors. Though my uncle never outright forbade me from going, his unease was palpable whenever the topic arose. "Old places carry old stories," he said once, his tone veiling a warning. I didn't press him for details. Among the bookstore's patrons was a local historian whose fascination with the mines bordered on reverence. He often lingered in the aisles, recounting their lore. His favorite tale was of a supernatural encounter he'd experienced as a child. He described a towering figure of shifting smoke, its eyes burning like the embers of a dying fire. "It didn't move," he said, his voice low and trembling. "It just leaned closer, watching." The words lingered with me, gnawing at my skepticism. I laughed off his tale, but the historian only looked at me with something akin to pity. When he suggested we visit the mines together to prove himself right, I agreed. Armed with torches, we made our way into the ruins one humid afternoon. After picking through collapsed beams and rusted machinery for nearly 20 minutes, we reached a bridge, a crumbling span of stone arching over a pit of blackened slag. The tunnel it led to gaped like a mouth, swallowing the sunlight. The historian crossed first, his steps sure. I hesitated, but followed, the ground beneath us groaning with our weight. We made it across the bridge without incident, though every step spiked my blood pressure. The tunnel yawned before us as we stepped inside. The air hung damp and heavy, leaving a faint, bitter tang of metal on my tongue. Our torches caught the glisten of wet walls and rusted debris scattered underfoot. Each sound, our steps, the drip of water, echoed too loudly, as if the darkness itself was leaning in, listening. Halfway across, my torch flickered, its weak glow sputtering. I tapped it against my palm, and its light returned. But the historian's torch failed completely. Then came the growl, a deep guttural vibration that seemed to rise from the depths of the earth. My stomach twisted, and the hairs on the back of my neck prickled. The historian froze beside me, his breath hitching. The growl came again, louder, closer, a harbinger of something primal. A shadow shifted ahead, drawing our attention to a slick, ink-black substance seeping from the tunnel's sides. It moved toward us with an unnatural grace, as though buoyed by an unseen tide, its globules drifting and hovering in defiance of gravity. As it drew closer, its form coalesced, a hulking shape of unlight. Its eyes, fiery coals, bored into me. The grin of its skeletal face seemed to widen, a grotesque parody of mirth. I couldn't move, couldn't speak. The historian whispered something, a prayer perhaps, but the words evaporated into the void between us and the dark spirit. Then, with a strength born of sheer terror, he yanked me backward, and we ran breathlessly. Behind us, a sound rose, a laugh. It was deep, mocking, and unholy. We didn't stop until we reached the main road. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw its grin, the fiery hollows of its gaze. By morning, I convinced myself it was an illusion, a grotesque trick of fear. I resolved to revisit the events with the historian, hoping he could validate my fragile reasoning. But the historian never showed up at the bookstore that day. When I went to his home, his wife greeted me with weary eyes and told me he hadn't spoken a word since his return. At dawn, without explanation, he had boarded the first train, bound for a pilgrimage. That evening, the cats came. The first one perched on my windowsill, its sleek black body and glowing green eyes unnervingly still. It didn't blink nor move when I shooed it. Then came the scratching. At the window, the door, and, impossibly, from within the walls. Panic clawed at my throat. The cats multiplied over the next few days. I saw them everywhere, staring from rooftops, their eyes glowing like lanterns. Their meows twisted into sounds too human, filling the quiet with a malevolent cadence. No matter where I went, they were always there, watching. Weeks passed, and I unraveled into a mental wreck. One night, my uncle found me cowering in a corner, screaming incoherently. When I finally managed to make sense of my words, I poured out my terror to him, and he decided to summon a priest. The priest came with incense and prayers, circling the house as the cats gathered outside, an unyielding legion of some omnipotent darkness. The priest's chanting faltered. From the shadows, a figure emerged, its skeletal grin sharp as it issued an unholy command. The cats lunged at the priest, their glowing eyes blazing as they clawed and bit and tore up his robes. The priest fled, his screams echoing into the night. Defeated, I lay in my room, trembling, sobbing. Days passed in a haze of fear and exhaustion. Then came the news. The historian's body had been discovered on a train, his face frozen in an expression of pure terror. There was no denying it now. The truth settled over me like a shroud. I couldn't escape. The dark force wasn't done with me. More cats gather outside like a congregation of the damned. Their meows rise in a chilling harmony, a dirge for my hapless soul. It was only a matter of time.